Alrighty, folks, the biggest media news of the last decade, Tucker Carlson has been fired from Fox News. What lay behind this? So a few different theories. Theory number one is that Tucker was basically ousted as a consequence of the Dominion lawsuit. This is the theory of the Washington Post. The Washington Post says Carlson's private messages were among hundreds of internal communications made public in the course of the Dominion lawsuit that caused angst and embarrassment for Fox and heightened the company's legal jeopardy. Fox ultimately agreed to pay Dominion $800 million or so. Among other comments, Carlson expressed skepticism of the election fraud claims made on air by attorneys affiliated with President Trump and declared that he passionately hates the former president whose rise to power had been cheered by Fox in order to avoid people like Tucker having to testify or Judge Jeanine having to testify or a wide variety of other Fox News hosts having to testify. Fox News instead decided to, and this would be Rupert Murdoch, decided to sign an $800 million check to Dominion. But according to the Washington Post, it wasn't those comments that were so bothersome. It was Carlson's comments about Fox management, as revealed in the Dominion case, that played a role in his departure from Fox, according to a person familiar with the company's thinking. Quote, "Do the executives understand how much credibility and trust we've lost with our audience?" Carlson wrote to a colleague in a message a day after Fox, like the other media outlets, called the election for Joe Biden. This was a sentiment echoed by others at Fox in the fall of 2020, as even network officials who disbelieved Trump's election fraud conspiracy theories fretted that countering them strongly would alienate their conservative viewers. So in other words, a lot of the Fox News executives were looking at the fact that Tucker really didn't believe a lot of the things that were being alleged by Sidney Powell and Trump's legal team, but also was deeply worried about how that was going to play with the Fox News audience and all that had now come out. In another message, Carlson referred to management with an expletive, quote, "Those efforts are destroying our credibility." He later wrote, "A combination of incompetent liberals and top leadership with too much pride to back down is what is happening." Carlson did not have a farewell show, obviously. So this is theory number one, is that this was the natural after effect of the Dominion lawsuit, that basically everybody who is involved in any sort of credibility giving to the election fraud narrative is now going to be on the line. And to back that theory, you have the fact that Fox News also parted ways with Dan Bongino just last week. Now, Dan Bongino, of course, had been very vocal in his support not only for President Trump, but also had wanted to do an interview a couple of years ago in which Trump actually aired his grievances about the election. The Fox News brass cut the interview, and Dan actually went on the air and he said, "You shouldn't cut the interview with the former president of the United States. He's the former president of the United States." It was just a few days ago that Fox News parted ways with Bongino. So it's hard not to see Carlson's ouster in the context of Dan Bongino also being ousted as of last week. Now, that's not the only possible theory. Theory number two is that there are ancillary issues that we actually are only now becoming aware of. According to the Los Angeles Times, and this would have been Steve Battaglio reporting as a staff writer over there, people familiar with the situation who are not authorized to comment publicly said the decision to fire Carlson came straight from the top from Rupert Murdoch directly. Carlson's exit is related, according to them, to the discrimination lawsuit filed by Abby Grossberg. There's another lawsuit that has been on the books. She's a producer fired by the network last month, according to certain people. Carlson's senior executive producer, Justin Wells, has also been terminated, according to people familiar with the matter. So what exactly was in that particular lawsuit? A bunch of allegations were in that particular lawsuit. None of them particularly pretty. According to Yahoo News, just about a month ago, that discrimination lawsuit included allegations that constant bullying and gaslighting caused the producer so much stress and anxiety, her stomach ulcers flared up and she was in excruciating pain, and that she'd been discriminated against based on gender, religion, and disability. Discovery may have uncovered other ugly messages, perhaps. Maybe this is what Fox News was worried about. The network said in a statement, Fox News Media engaged an independent outside counsel to immediately investigate the concerns raised by Ms. Grossberg, which were made following a critical performance review. Grossberg's complaint contains allegations that Fox's lawyers pressured her to provide misleading testimony in the Dominion voting claim. Fox News says her allegations in connection with the Dominion case are baseless. We will vigorously defend Fox against all of her legal claims, which have no merit. So again, the allegation here is that a former Tucker producer was alleging anti-Semitism and sexism, and maybe this had some legal ramifications. So that is theory number two, is that it was sort of ancillary issues, that producer's lawsuit. Another possibility was that the network was very upset with the possibility of additional legal liability created, they think, by Tucker Carlson. For example, Ray Epps, who you'll recall from Tucker's show, he was a Texas man who, the day before the actual storming of the Capitol building, urged people to enter the Capitol building. There are a lot of people on the right who've suggested that he was some sort of FBI plant. And Epps was interviewed Sunday on 60 Minutes. He suggested that Tucker had targeted him. Maybe Fox News didn't want to be hit with another lawsuit. That's quite possible after having suffered an $800 million settlement, which is actually the largest media settlement in American history so far as we are aware. Again, that is a possibility as well. There's also talk about the possibility that the network was upset about Tucker's coverage of January 6th. Tucker had done a special not all that long ago, we covered some of Tucker's allegations in the special. For example, the fact that the so-called buffalo horned man, whatever his name was, QAnon shaman, that he was walking around the building shadowed by a bunch of cops. And that looked kind of different than the idea that he was kind of running around the building threatening people physically and all of this. And Tucker had sort of downplayed the nature of January 6th. Maybe the brass didn't like that very much. But what this all comes down to is it looks as though Fox News is quote unquote cleaning house. And that can be, for bad. There are a lot of people who not only love Tucker, but also think that Tucker says things that other people won't, which is true. Tucker does say things that other people won't. You can see a fundamental divide has emerged, obviously, inside the Fox Corporation. And that was pretty clear from what members of the Fox News brass were saying during election 2020. There was a pretty clear divide between some of the top brass. That'd be Rupert Murdoch, maybe Lachlan Murdoch, Paul Ryan, Via Din, some of the other people who are sort of at the top of the Fox brass, and some of the other people who are again, near the top, more sympathetic to the perspectives of the hosts who, for example, did not want Arizona called in favor of Joe Biden. That had been Suzanne Scott and Jay Wallace, for example. We'll get to that momentarily. First, in the past year, Israel has faced over 5,000 terror attacks. There was one just yesterday in Jerusalem. 28 Israelis have lost their lives. Hundreds of others have been injured. This has extreme emotional and psychological impacts on family, friends, and neighbors. One person who knows this very well is David Rubin. David and his young son were wounded in a terror attack. While healing from that trauma, David realized his family was one of thousands struggling to recover from similar experiences. Many of those families are dealing with post-traumatic stress, panic attacks, severe anxiety, depression, isolation, and loneliness. That's when David founded the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund. It works with trauma experts to provide a range of uniquely tailored therapies that are radically improving the lives of thousands of families and children devastated by terror. I urge you to visit their website, israelchildren.org/ben. Watch the devastating stories of families who suffered tremendously at the hands of terrorists, what Shiloh Israel Children's Fund is doing to provide the healing they need. And this week actually marks both Yom HaZikaron, which is Israel's Memorial Day, as well as Yom HaAtzmaut, which is Israel's Independence Day. It's a wonderful time to give if you care about Israel. In one particular story, Shiloh Israel's Children's Fund saved the marriage of a couple who lost their child to a terror attack. They're doing amazing work. Head on over to israelchildren.org/ben. See what it takes to save the life of a terror-stricken child in Israel's biblical heartland. You won't believe how easy it is to give children a brighter future. That's israelchildren.org/ben. In just a second, we'll get to the other big media firing of the day. And this one is actually kind of funny. We'll get to that momentarily. First, as you know, I am the world's best dad. I mean, this is just technically true. They've done studies on this. I am the world's best father. Well, often my children come to me wanting to, jump on my bed, and they want to have pillow fights. And because I'm the world's best dad, I'm like, totally. And not only am I the world's best dad with that, I say, you can only have pillow fights. I'm the world's greatest sheets. And this is why we have bull and branch sheets in our home. My little ones, they have very particular views on the sheet quality of the sheets that they're jumping up and down on and messing up my bed. Well, I rely on Boll and Branch. Boll and Branch sheets are made from the finest 100% organic cotton threads on planet Earth. They feel buttery to the touch. They're super breathable. They are perfect for both cooler and warmer months. Their signature hem sheets were made with threads so luxurious, 4 U.S. presidents have slept in them. Boll and Branch sheets actually soften with every wash cycle. They're made without pesticides, formaldehyde, or other harsh chemicals. Best of all, Boll and Branch gives you a 30-night risk-free trial with free shipping and returns on all orders. You're not going to want to return them. I'm not sure anyone ever has. Get a better night's sleep with Boll and Branch. Get 15% off your first order when you use promo code Shapiro today at bollandbranch.com. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com. Promo code Shapiro. Exclusions apply. See site for details. Again, these are the best sheets on planet Earth, bar none. They also make amazing blankets, by the way. I have a couple of them, really good stuff. Go check them out right now, bollandbranch.com. Okay, so if you look back at the text of the various members of sort of the Fox News brass, they had very different opinions on sort of what was happening in 2020. And a lot of what seems like happened with Tucker on Monday morning seems like it was fallout from 2020 just late and as a result of the Dominion judgment. So, for example, if you look at the text of Rupert Murdoch at the time, he texted Suzanne Scott, who is the CEO of Fox News, January 21st, 2021, saying, still getting mud thrown at us. Maybe Sean and Laura went too far. All very well for Sean to tell you he was in despair about Trump, but what did he tell his viewers? So Murdoch apparently was not happy with the behavior of some of the hosts with regard to the division between what they were saying to the viewers and what they were saying sort of behind the scenes. Lachlan Murdoch, who is the Fox Corp CEO, and Rupert's son, he said, news guys have to be careful how they cover this rally. The narrative should be this is a huge celebration of the president. That was a message that he sent to Suzanne Scott November 14th, 2020 about coverage of a Trump rally in which 2 Fox journalists had contradicted election fraud claims. Paul Ryan also suggested that the 2020 election coverage was an inflection point for the company and a chance for people to tell the truth about what they actually thought about the election fraud claims. Meanwhile, Suzanne Scott took the position that there were reporters who had not gone along with some of the election fraud claims and that she was skeptical that this would not harm them with the audience. What I can't keep defending these reporters who don't understand our viewers and how to handle stories. The audience feels like we crapped on them. We've damaged their trust and belief in us. We can fix this, but we can't smirk at our viewers any longer. So, again, there's all this sort of back and forth inside the network, and you can see the various points of view that were taking shape. And Tucker was at the center of that because at the same time that he said, quote, "We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights." This is January 4th, 2021. "I truly can't wait." At the same time, he was obviously giving a lot of airtime to members of Trump's campaign, including people like Sidney Powell. Now, again, it was a very confused time. Fox didn't take a particularly strong line as to what it wished to see said and what it didn't wish to see said. Bottom line is that it's unclear right now whether this is simply a matter of Tucker Carlson or whether Fox News is attempting to draw some new lines about how they covered the issues. Whatever the case may be, and again, I think all of these points of view are arguable. Whatever the case may be, Tucker was a major asset to Fox News. It's not going to be so easy to fill that time slot. That is a very difficult time slot to fill. Again, he was the number one host in prime time for Fox News. Now, there are people who are immediately chortling over the impact of this. The New York Times has been chortling over the impact of this, suggesting that Fox News is in serious trouble or that Tucker's in serious trouble. The truth is both will go on to success in their various areas of endeavor. This is not the first rodeo for Fox News. Fox News fired Bill O'Reilly back when he had about 3.7 million viewers a night. Tucker has about 2.9 million viewers a night. Bill O'Reilly went on to make a lot of money in other endeavors, and Fox News went on to, continue to be wildly successful. Fox News has parted ways in the past with some friends of mine, people like Glenn Beck, people like Megyn Kelly. Again, those are all business decisions, and Fox News went on to continue to have wide-ranging viewership. But you can see a lot of people, of course, very angry and very upset about Tucker Carlson being ousted from Fox News, and that is a direct response to the fact that Tucker, again, is an incredibly compelling performer. He is somebody who has a unique point of view on politics, and I don't agree with Tucker a lot. There are times I've talked about on the show where I strenuously disagree with Tucker. If you want to see some other times where I strenuously disagree with Tucker, all you have to do is watch the Sunday special episode I did with him where we disagreed on everything from foreign policy to government interventionism in the American economy. He, for example, thinks the government should intervene strongly in the American economy, give subsidies, prevent technological developments in order to preserve certain types of jobs. I don't think that. But whatever Tucker is, he is certainly a compelling presence. And he does, when it comes to social issues particularly, have an extraordinary amount of moral clarity. And it'll be interesting to see how Fox News try to fill that gap. So when I say that the left is celebrating Tucker Carlson being fired from Fox News, I mean literally celebrating by doing the wave. So the intellectual luminaries over at The View led the charge here. Again, combined IQ lower than the pen I currently hold in my hand. If it were possible to have negative IQ points, The View would somehow achieve that signal feat. Here's what it looked like on The View when they found out that Tucker had been let go.
Word has just come down that Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. They thank him for his service to the network and host of a prior contributor. Wave.
Now they're doing the wave. They're literally doing the wave right now. That's the first time some of these people have stood up in at least 11 years. So that is very exciting. So yeah, great stuff there from those people. By the way, they're very excited about a network they never watch. They're really, really excited about it. Like if somebody got fired on MSNBC, a network I never watch, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'd be like, I never watch that network. I don't care. It just shows how much the left is like bewildered and confused and upset by the presence of an alternative point of view like Fox News in the first place, and certainly Tucker. CNN, of course, was very excited about all of this. CNN, Oliver Darcy, he says that the reason that Tucker was fired is because he was leading them in an extremist direction, which of course was always going to be CNN's line on this.
This raises a lot of questions about whether the network potentially is trying to at least rein in some of the more extreme people on the channel. I mean, of course, Tucker Carlson, the most extreme probably on that channel. I should also note, John, why this is so important. I mean, Tucker Carlson, outside Donald Trump, really was the person commanding the GOP, really directing it. You saw Republican lawmakers, prominent Republican lawmakers, often grovel at his feet.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz, for instance, groveled at his feet, and others because they were afraid of him going on his primetime show and lashing out at them. So this is not only huge news in the world of media, but also in the world of politics, where he was really pushing the GOP in that extremist direction.
And Tucker is not going to go away here. Despite CNN really reveling in all of this, Tucker's not going to go away. I mean, there were immediate rumors that Tucker might run for president. Now, I think that is a very sketchy rumor, given the fact that again, Tucker Carlson tends to be a private person. He's somebody who really enjoys his private life, and he doesn't want to see that up on a screen. I'm not sure that he wants to go head-to-head with Donald Trump, a man who has no limits when it comes to attacking his political opponents. But it is galling to watch the members of the left-wing media who've been wildly dishonest for years about Trump, about Tucker, about pretty much everybody, now kind of reveling in it. The New York Times reran a piece today titled, "The Times Did an Investigation into How Tucker Carlson Stoked White Fear to Conquer Cable." This, of course, is their routine, is that anybody they don't like is a white supremacist. That is the way all of this works. I'll repeat it again. Tucker's an immensely talented guy. He's going to go on to have immense success in whatever he chooses to do next. This is not the end of Fox News. It's not remotely the end of Fox News because, again, Fox News still is the prime time destination for the vast majority of America's really motivated conservatives. Is it going to harm Fox News? Certainly with Tucker's viewers, it will. But again, the kind of rule in conservative media is that Fox News continues to truck on, and ex-hosts, they continue to have second careers as well. So this is hardly the end for either of them. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show continues right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into the vaunted Ben Shapiro Show mailbag. If you want to have your question answered, you have to be a member. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click the link in the description and join us.